If you're laughing at tweets, like most likely they're yours. Josiah Johnson officially on the Come Up with Katia. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. So you grew up in LA, around movie sets. At that age, did you already know that you wanted to maybe do something different in the creative space, or always going that route?
I think I grew up, my dad played in the NBA, so he had a lot of money. He sent me to private schools, and I was connecting with people like Jason Schwartzman in like 3rd, 4th grade doing film school stuff. That's just, when I'm growing up in LA, I just think that's kind of normal stuff. You don't even think it's a big deal. Then you go around the world and see how other people respond to that situation and kind of realize that it's some pretty cool stuff. But knew I wanted to do something in the entertainment space. Wasn't really sure what it was. After college, I wasn't good enough to go play pro, so I'm like, all right, I got to figure my shit out. So I started working on the sports entertainment side with Fox Sports, NFL Network, companies like that. Enjoyed it, but it was a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a lot of hard hours. Got a lot of great experiences. Like when I watched like NFL draft or Super Bowl or combine, the experience now is enjoyable, but I remember those 20-hour days, like you get in at 6 a.m. and leave at 2 a.m. on a Super Bowl Sunday and things like that. But being at those events kind of missed that feel of it, but knew I wanted to do something in the space. But when I was growing up, we didn't have Twitter and things like that, of course. But when those things started to happen, I wasn't really a huge social media fan. And then I started doing it and kind of doing it a little more, and then saw the value in it and saw that you can make a career out of it. So now obviously I'm head first in this and just doing it as much as I can and loving it.
So was it always just entertainment, or did you always kind of want to go the sports angle too? Obviously you have like a strong background in sports with your dad and yourself playing and everything like that.
I think, TV, movies, all that type of stuff. I used to write scripts as a little kid and used to, work on projects and do things like that. Something in that space, but now the sports side, kind of this meshing of sports and entertainment and stuff like that, and being able, for me, I'm just kind of a free thinker, so I don't ever want anybody to tell me what to do or how to think or how to be. And that's the problem you run into in Hollywood, where you get hundreds of people that tell you how to do that, or hey, say it like this, or we want your voice, but we want your voice how we want it. And I enjoy doing that side, but I've also just found a lot of creative freedom and stuff I get to do in social. And I think, I always tell people, if I would have went to a company and been like, hey, I want to run social like this or do a Twitter like that, they would have said, no fucking way, we're not going to hire you. Now those same companies instruct all their employees to tweet like me and find that style. Mm-hmm. But the thing about the stuff I do, it's unique in the fact that I'm unfiltered, I'm out of pocket, I can do whatever I want and not have to answer to anybody. Within reason. Obviously, of course, there's things I can't say. Of course. But having the ability to do that on my own independently, and I just laugh when I see these companies that are in a corporate structure that, when things happen, I know that they have to go to Slack, have to get everything approved, that you can't say this, say that, add this emoji, do this, do that. And by that time, I've already put up 3 or 4 tweets.
They already missed the moment.
And moved on. I'm already moved on by the time they get their first one up. And it's like, you're late. And especially in social now, with everything predicated on being first. First is cool, but be right. That's the thing I concentrate on. So if I have a meme, I have an idea, whatever it is, I kind of will workshop it really quick in my head and then try to get it out. Definitely a speed and efficiency with it, but also trying to put the highest quality content out as well.
Definitely. I'm curious, because you grew up in LA and being in entertainment was such a achievable dream, for those of us who didn't, growing up in Minnesota, they're like, are you gonna go work for Target or Best Buy, which one? So I'm curious if you think that contributed to your ability to not really give a fuck about what you're doing and what other people think in terms of having your content.
I'm sure. I think this city, it's funny, a lot of people, and we have a lot of transplants that come in and people that embrace it, the culture, and come in and work hard, but there's a lot of people that come and say, when I step foot here, I'm going to be a superstar. They don't realize that, when you see that movie or that TV show, it was months and months and months of work put into it. It's not a glamorous life.
No.
We spend hours in a writer's room, formulating everything, get notes from the network. Then it goes to production, spend more hours fixing all that stuff, working out the stuff that looks great on paper, but once you shoot it, it doesn't. And then you see the finished product, which is this 2-hour movie or 30-minute to an hour-long TV show, and think, oh, that's easy, until you actually have to physically do it. And it's a rough life. So that's kind of the fruit of all your labor and kind of the end result of it. But a lot of people just come here thinking, oh, I'm just going to go audition a few times. I'm going to write a script. Hey, I wrote a script. It's like, okay, congratulations. There's 5,000 to 10,000 writers in the Writers Guild.
Yeah.
That are all competing for a finite amount of jobs. All talented people, all have their own, different styles and language and the way that they write. We're all competing for the same jobs. We're all in this same pool. So that's why even I gravitated towards social, because it's like, look, in the meantime, in between time, when I'm waiting, I'm sending out scripts or waiting for stuff to go, which can take months, years. I had a TV show on Comedy Central. It took literally from the time we created the idea to the show aired was 7 years.
Wow.
So if that 7-year window, I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna have a show one day. It's like, no, it's gonna take 7 years. So you need to pay bills and do things. So
For sure.
you do a lot of different stuff. But that's why I love social, because it gives you the ability to distinguish yourself, to rise out of the cloud. And now everybody wants that. You know, everybody from the TV side wants to understand the digital and social side, and they think, oh, I'm just gonna go over to digital and social. It's gonna be the same thing as TV. It's not. It's very complicated. It's very nuanced. It's things you have to learn and discover by actually doing it. And you can't just throw a bunch of money at it and expect to get the result you're hoping for. Where back in the day, for a movie or a TV show, it could be the worst movie ever. We're gonna promote the shit out of it. Hey, we've got this A-list actor and this A-list actor. And even if it sucks, we know we're going to get you in the theater at least once, and we're going to get our money back. Now,
that's what you're doing Friday night.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Now with social, like, if your shit sucks, like, they'll let you know about it. Getting tomatoed, people are telling you how much they hate you. Like, it's a different experience.
Yeah, it's a different, like, pressure.
Yeah.
Going back to that, like, 7-year experience of creating a show on Comedy Central, like, break that down a little bit. What does that look like day one of that 7 year? Like, is it just, are you counting, I had this idea? Like, where do you go from this concept to writing the script to everything? Like, I think most people don't understand the process of creating a TV show, really.
So we created that show 2009, I think was the first meeting we had at the W in Westwood. I remember all this, like click back on my hand, obviously, you never forget your first TV show.
Yeah.
But so created the idea 2009, spent a ton of time developing it, went through a bunch of different processes, didn't actually pitch Comedy Central till I think 2013.
How'd you get the pitch? How'd you get the meeting?
Well, we had a A-list crew attached.
Okay.
So it was myself, Quinn Hawking. We were teammates together at UCLA. We created the show idea based on our experiences riding the bench at UCLA. Brought on a guy by the name of Michael Starberry, who's a close friend of mine, actually lives in Minnesota. So when you say that Target or Best Buy, would you say?
Target or Best Buy, yeah. Where are you going to go? General Mills, where are you going to go?
I always joke with him. It's like, look, you're the most talented writer in Hollywood, and you literally live in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So, you know, he comes when he has to and goes back. But brought Starberry in, who had a pilot at that time called Blackjack, which basically was like Blackjack Bauer at Comedy Central, but one of the greatest pilots I've ever read. I think they made it, ended up going, but brought him on to write. We also had Brad Abelson, who was a talented animator working on The Simpsons, and a guy by the name of Mike Clements, who's a talented executive on the other side. So we had a A-list crew across the board. Even Quinn and myself, we were kind of green when we first started that process, but super talented. You know, we're already dominating on the sports entertainment side, already doing a bunch of stuff on the social side, which wasn't really respected at that point in 2009.
Okay.
You know, people didn't really have a respect for that level of being able to touch the market and tap into communities and build culture around the stuff you were doing back then as much as they do now. But so when we started that 2009, didn't pitch Comedy Central till 2013. Comedy Central bought it in the room. Loved the concept, yeah, which we didn't know. Like, literally after that pitch, Starberry's like, you guys know you just sold the show, right? I'm just like, okay.
Wait, what does that look like? They're like, we got it, no problem.
So as soon as we left, we got a call, I believe, the next day, like, yo, they want it.
And how did Starberry know that?
Well, Starberry
he's like, I know how they react. Yeah.
He just, yeah, you guys sold,
got it.
Congrats, you sold your first show. And it was just like, okay, you know, I'm the type that's always like super hesitant to believe anything till it's official, but got the call the next day, they want it. Spent 2 more years developing it through them. Had to do a pilot presentation, which is a shorter format of what actually ended up being our pilot. So that's like a 10 to 12 minute version of what your pilot's going to be. Did that. They were like, all right, we want to do the full pilot. You know, they still weren't sold on it. So we did the full pilot. But good news, because they could have just been like, no. A lot of shows get nixed at that point. Like, all right, we didn't like your pilot presentation for whatever reason. So then we did the full pilot, and from what I understand, they like send it to like Las Vegas, and they get like 15 people to watch it, and then they are the people who determine. Like,
so Vegas
15,
is like the funny.
Well, you're
realm.
getting everything through every type of human being through Las Vegas, right?
Sure.
So 15 to 20 people watch the show, give their opinions. From Comedy Central's perspective, it was very polarizing in a similar fashion that South Park was when people first viewed that. So they bought the show. That's 2015 now. Then we start production. It takes about 48 to 60 weeks, just depending, sometimes longer for an animated series to do 10 episodes. So as you can imagine, that's tough when you're trying to be topical and trying to be fresh or trying to be funny. We've got to write scripts months in advance. So there was, things that we put in those scripts that we had no idea that they would come true. We threw a throwaway joke about Trump being president literally a year before the election. That was just a joke. Ends up happening, Like, wrote a WNBA themed episode that timed out perfectly just for like the WNBA. See, just things that like were literally like, okay, this is crazy how these things are working out. But did all that, and then show aired in 2016, I believe. We were paired up with South Park. South Park was our lead in. And then 2017, I had season 2, and then weren't able to continue from there. But getting 2 seasons, I think, was an amazing experience. Got to work with talented people like Carl Jones, Erykah Badu, our showrunner Devon Shepard. Just an amazing crew. Jamie Kennedy, who's one of the most hilarious human beings I've ever met in my life. Neil Brennan, Tiffany Haddish, Jay Farrell. I mean, it was just just
surreal.
being around and
Just
they're working
fully
on your
surreal.
show. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, the show you created is a fucking tremendous experience and honor.
So when you got that call that second day, though, I gotta know how you celebrated. Like how all that
the call
Day
that they
two.
bought it.
Yeah.
Okay, the call that they bought it. I think I was probably still broke at that point. So, not maybe had some beverages or done something. Then when they officially bought the show, I think me and my girlfriend, who's now my wife, we went out and had like a nice dinner. I want to say we went to like Flugo de Chao or something, and splurged out.
Nothing
Got
crazy, though,
the meat
yeah.
sweats, and that was turning up for me. I love eating good food.
So when you guys were in production, was that your full-time job, or were you still kind of doing side hustle things
No,
too?
it's a full-time gig.
Okay.
I mean, I poured my heart into that show.
Yeah.
And, that's where I got good at the social as well. So I was creator, writer, producer, and also voiced two of the main characters, but would end up doing like 6 to 7 voices an episode. And I'm not like a classically trained voice actor, whatever it may be, but always used to go around the house doing funny voices and stuff like that. So got to do everybody from like Doc Rivers to DJ Khaled to everybody else we kind of just would randomly have on the show. But it was a hard experience. So you basically do writer's room, and then Comedy Central had greenlit season 2, I think faster than any show in the network's history.
Wow.
So they came to our first table read, which is actually a script that me and Quinn wrote. And for me, the one thing I love is just production value. Growing up in LA, I want everything to be larger than life. So normally we do table reads, and what I had heard is like, oh, table reads aren't really a big deal. You invite a couple people, network comes, and from that they'll kind of determine. You read the script in character, and from the laughs that they get from the people watching will help kind of formulate how they feel about it. So I'm like, well, shit, let's really turn this thing up. So I normally get 30, 40 people. We had like 100, 150 people squeeze into this room. I literally called everybody I knew, like, come through, come turn up. And like, it's funny, I've been watching that Kanye Genius doc on Netflix. And I think when he did like the Through the Wire, I believe, screening, and he said like, I expected like, maybe 40, 50 people to come, but there was like 200 people in the room. And Dame Dash is in there and sees the response. And then from there, it's like, all right, let's release this album. So we had the president of the network, Ken Alterman, in addition to all of our execs on the show there. And they saw what we were able to do kind of in that room, how turned up it was, how much everybody was laughing, how excited everybody was. Literally ordered a season 2 on the spot. So now we're doing 2 seasons, writer's room, voiceover work. I'm doing all the social stuff as well. Kind of just took that on because I just...
Yeah, how did that come to be?
I was just seeing what was going on. We had a very talented staff at Comedy Central, but they were working on a bunch of different shows. And for me, it's like, when you're working on 6 or 7 shows, I'm sure every one of those creators felt the same way about their show that I did about mine. Like, yo, this is my shit. This is the most important shit. I don't care about anybody else's shit out there. Like, congrats to them, but I want everything focused on this. Obviously, they have a finite amount of people to work on it. So, okay, I'll take it over. Like, I know the tone. I know the style. I'm writing these scripts. I'm voicing these characters.
Right.
I know how my characters would talk. We actually, I think, connected with this company, believe in like Sweden, that was able to do, it was an animation company, but they could take our characters and do like things. So we could basically record on the phone, and it would lip sync the characters' voices on the phone. And we could do like simple body movements. So basically I could animate from my phone, my characters reacting to stuff that was going on in the real world. So I looked at that like, all right, we can be faster than South Park, which was, turning around shows in 6-8 days, which anybody who knows animation, that's not realistic by any stretch of the imagination, but I was able to get content out quick. And I basically just flooded the block, like did a bunch of research, checked out a bunch of different social sites like Insecure, had a great social presence at that point. Game of Thrones obviously was dominating the market at that point. South Park and what they were doing on their side. Like, all right, how can I take the stuff that they're doing successfully, in addition to a lot of meme accounts like World Star and other accounts that were out there that were putting out a lot of content that was doing crazy numbers, and looked like it was efficient and easy to put out. So I just took all that, like, all right, how can I do that and formulate my own voice and tone within the confines of what this show is, and have stuff be in the voice of this show from that account. Was able at the height of that account, I think got close to like 100,000 followers on Twitter. Figured Twitter was like my bread and butter, just because, on Twitter you can have 10 followers, and if you put out a good piece of content or a bad piece of content, it'll go viral, right? People will hit it no matter what it is. Like, there's just it's an easier ability to do that. And I still love Twitter to this day for that very reason, where I can post something and, within minutes it can go.
But you're like so on it. Like, I don't understand how you always are. You have the right tone, you have the right message, you're on is your phone just blowing up constantly?
It's a lot of trial and error. I'll just say that. Like, there was a period where it wasn't as on fire as that, but I learned from those times. Like, I compare it to like Kobe's rookie year airballing in Utah, right? Or, Jordan missing shots early in his career that helped establish him, or LeBron kind of suffering and getting swept by the Spurs in the finals in 2007, but how that helped, build him into the 4-time champion that he is today. You learn from those moments. So I had a lot of stuff that maybe wasn't the best content, but for me, I'm a shooter, so I was going to keep shooting and putting stuff out, and you learn. And that's why, I look at a lot of companies now, or people that work in social, And it's always like they get all these resources, all this money to go create stuff and kind of pat themselves on the back for doing the bare minimum. Like, you have all this money, you have all this resource, you should be doing comparable numbers to somebody like myself who's literally just in the kitchen tweeting from home with none of those things, right?
Yeah.
So I just used that kind of ability and skill. And a lot of that came from working at NFL Network, working highlights on Sunday, which, you know, anybody who's worked there can tell you, Sunday's a shit show. Like 13 to 15 games going on, all types of madness, like, you know, you're doing multiple shows, having to get the appropriate highlights, get the stuff out, make sure everything's right, having talent like Rich Eisen and other people there that you're writing shot sheets for them and stuff. And if your shot sheet's fucked up, you will hear about it, right?
Yeah.
If they're trying to read that on the air and something's inaccurate or names misspelled or whatever it may be, you know, you didn't say it the correct way, you're going to hear about that because now they're basically the voice of every person that's working there.
Working behind them.
This machine that's making sure that they look like the most intelligent human beings on the planet. So just always having that, you know, high pressure, high intensity environment, for me, like Twitter's nothing. Like if I put up a bad tweet, who gives a shit, right? I may get clowned or whatever, but people will move on. But if I put out a great tweet, then I can build up a following, leverage that, and create a whole career out of it. So
were you able to throw some creativity into the highlights and shot sheets at NFL Network at all? Yeah.
Sure. I was kind of a square back then. I'm not even going to lie. Like, I kind of lived like a dual life where, like, in my regular network life, I was a square. And then, like, I turned into Batman after dark, like, with the social stuff and the different stuff I was running through my own websites and things like that.
I was going to say Jersey Chasers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So, I mean.
Tell me about Jersey Chasers.
So, for me, you know, Jersey Chase was an idea that myself, my teammate Quinn Hawking, who created Legend Chamberlain Heights with me, and then our other teammate Ike Williams, who Ike is one of the most creative geniuses, you know, masterminds of our generation. But us three were basically the inspiration for Legends. We were the ones who sat on the end of the bench together, just kind of messing around, joking during games and stuff like that. But after college, we were kind of, you know, sitting on the couch, didn't really have any idea where our lives were going to go. We were like, well, fuck it, let's just, you know, start a website. I think our whole thing was we saw all these sites where it was always like this condescending attitude towards athletes. Like back in those days, you know, you think about like Reggie Bush having to like give his Heisman back, which I never understood because USC never gave back the money for all the 5 jerseys and championships and all the fucking revenue they generated. But it's like, oh, he's the bad one. Seriously. He's cheating because, you know, I mean, I was like, I went to UCLA and we used to watch SC games and watch Reggie Bush and like, you know.
You hate USC. Yeah.
But it's like, yo. Like,
yeah, you still respect it. Like,
respect them.
Yeah.
We respect what they had going on in LA at that time. Like, you'd see them out and about and, you know, they would try to flex and stuff, but it's football dudes, so we never really like.
Just, you know, you're like, come see the basketball team.
Yeah, we don't respect your sport like that. But yeah, so we created the site kind of just messing around and just something we wanted to do just to see if we could, and ended up, man, again, that's something I poured my heart into. Probably wrote like 4,000 articles over a 3 or 4 year period. It was basically living a dual life. I'd be at NFL Network, but also like mapping out articles and like getting them up as stuff happened. So I'd basically be doing 2 jobs.
Okay.
You know?
But this Jersey Chase is like, that was your passion. It was just like, wasn't paying the bills.
I wasn't making no money off of it. Just doing it for fun, doing it to see what would happen. But we ended up breaking stories like, you know, like our coach, Steve Lavin at UCLA, basically like postponed his wedding. So we dropped that article and everybody's like, oh, you know, like.
Who picked it up?
You know, I mean, but everybody. Back in those days, there was still a little bit of respect in terms of if you drop something, people would credit you and link you. So Deadspin would grab our stuff a lot.
Cool.
And we didn't know a lot of stuff, but when we did know stuff, like if I'm at UCLA and Carmelo Anthony's up there playing and he's about to be a free agent, it's like, Melo, where do you want to go play? And he says, oh, I want to go to the Bulls. And we dropped that article. It's funny. We dropped that article. This was years ago. Melo was interested in the Bulls. Everybody's like, fuck you guys. What do you know? What website is this? Whatever. Then fast forward like a day or two later, Woj, Melo's interested in the Bulls. And it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's like, yeah, we have the same fucking stream as these people.
Right.
I'm getting it from the source. Woj is getting it from the agent. Like, I just don't live in that space. Like, I'm not a news break. I don't care about that shit. But I'm hearing stuff that you guys are going to hear 3-4 days later from the source when it happens. You know what I mean? So we kind of just, we lean more into the humor and the comedy and the satire and that type of stuff and just presenting articles from a different angle, but always being super supportive of athletes. I think like Michael Vick was somebody who was getting trashed at that time. And, you know, even still to this day, but we were super supportive of Vic and just kind of his plight. And it's funny, somebody put a tweet up recently, like, do you forgive Michael Vick? And the overwhelming response was like, forgive him for what? Like, in the black community, we weren't really tripping on any of that shit. Obviously, he served his time and, you know, paid his debt to society, but we didn't look at it the same way. And I had like bosses who were just haters, kind of would be in the newsroom, just this negative, oh, we pay them all this money. It's like, well, yeah, what about the owners that make all this money? What about all, you know, all these other people that what about yourself who literally has a job off the backs of what these guys are doing? And you're trying to, you know, have this condescending tone towards them. So lived a double life. Everybody at NFL Network had no idea I was doing.
Really?
I
did anyone at NFL ever be like, have you ever heard of this Jersey Chasers thing?
It happened a few times where they'd be on the computer and I'd just sit there cracking up like I couldn't say anything. Like I think that Lab Wedding one was one of them.
Okay.
Like, and I had one of my producer bosses like pull up the article. Like, did you hear about this? And it's just like,
But your name wasn't on the article.
no.
It
I was
just-
posting under an alias. I think
Okay.
Brocephalophagus was the alias at that point. I don't know where it came from, but we just, you know, that was what I wrote under.
And where the name come from? Because Jersey Chasers has always, in my mind, been like women trying to date athletes. So interesting take on it.
I feel like the term was created by like haters, probably dudes in the frat scene who are jealous of
course.
athletes. So it was like, oh, we need to be negative towards anybody. But I feel like we're all Jersey Chasers. We all love sports. We all watch it religiously. So in our mind, anybody who loves sports was a Jersey Chaser. So it's kind of like Playboy. We try to take it and make it something positive out of it.
I like that.
In terms of like, you know, because people would say it with a negative spin on it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, haters came up with that term. So we took the haters, it's basically spit in their face and be like, all right, we're all Jersey Chasers. Like, because you're at this football game too. So you might be mad, or, you know, negatively, oh, this woman likes athletes, but so do you, bro.
You're a grown man wearing someone else's jersey. Like
moopies. We call them male groupies. There are moopies like you're in the same space. Like, how are we any different? I'm a male, you know what I mean? Like, I love LeBron. I love all types of sports athletes, whatever it may be. So just not having like a holier than thou attitude. So taking it and making a positive out of it is where the name came from.
You guys got to bring it back.
One day, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, this is the next project.
I feel like we already inspired so many people. Like the stuff we were even doing years ago, like the funny photos, memes. We didn't even knew what memes were back then. We were just like, hey, this photo would be funnier if I had like Mr. Miyagi with a text bubble saying something fucking outlandish on it. And we would just do it and drop that shit. I was editing all that shit in like Google Docs. I didn't know how to use Photoshop.
Yeah.
I kind of prided myself on that. Like, nah, I want this to look as basic as possible. Like, you know what I mean? Like we put no time into it. And then we'd put that stuff out and people would pick up our shit and develop a lot of our tone. So it's funny when even I see a lot of these companies now who are trying to jack the social style now, it's like, nah, you've been doing this for better than like 14 years. Like, this isn't like a new development. So.
Right. So after Legends of Chamberlain Heights ended, where were you at that point? Like, how did you transition into something new?
That was probably the lowest point of my career, to be real. You know, going from thinking, oh, we're going to be the next Trey and Matt. We're going to have this hit show. We're going to have all these opportunities. And it's funny when people need something from you or think that you're going to fulfill their dreams as well. They treat you a certain way. And then when that doesn't happen, phones stop ringing, you know, all that love and support you were getting, which I knew, I mean, I've grown up in LA. I knew it wasn't real to begin
people
with.
want here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but all that goes away and kind of people have this, you know, just negative. It was interesting to see. And I didn't work for like 10, 11 months after that. Like, you know,
did you know what you wanted to do, or you were just like, I gotta take a second?
I mean, I wanted to keep, you know, selling shows and doing stuff on that space, but that kind of cooled off.
Yeah.
Like there was points, and no knock to people who do it, but I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to drive an Uber or something like that just to pay the bills. And also was like, damn, I can't have people seeing me drive an Uber. They kind of built up this whole impression of who I was and what I was doing. So I had to just kind of keep living that and couldn't go back to my previous life and stuff I was doing before that. So just kind of stayed the course, worked on a lot of projects. Did have a lot of people who did support me, though, and I will mention that as well. People like Michael Starberry, who was blowing up at that point, but always would just tell me, you know, keep grinding, you know, how good of a writer and creative person I was and stuff like that. That was just so meaningful for me to know that these talented ass people who I respect were still rocking with me. And at that point, my wife was basically like, towards the end of Legends, she was like, yo, you're doing all this shit for them. Why don't you do it for yourself? Mm-hmm. And I didn't listen initially. I'm kind of a stubborn human being. So I was just like, I'm going to go focus on Legends. Like, no, this is going to go. Then it stops going. And it's basically like, it's funny. We go from like, getting booted. We were working at Bento Box. And it's basically like, you guys got to get all your shit out of here by like Monday. And it's like, damn, dog. Like,
like that?
Yeah. I mean, it was really like,
Holy shit.
Okay. Like, noted. But it was just, I mean, even the tone, the kind of how they do it, it wasn't like respectful shit. Like when you're making the money and, oh, yeah. Then it's like, yeah, all your shit by Monday, like at 12. Like, get the fuck out of here kind of deal. I'm like, okay.
That's how it is.
Yeah, this will be remembered. Don't worry. Like, it's all good. Like, no issue. No worries. Cleaned, packed out, good. See y'all later. You guys are welcome for all the money we made you. Like, see you later. But went on, figured it out, just started grinding, hustling again, and actually started working for this company called Attention, ATTN. It's based out of Los Angeles. More social issue stuff. I'd kind of had a really like bad taste in my mouth after the experience working in Hollywood and TV and just, you know, a lot of bullshit behind the scenes. I won't get into it. You know, a lot of people probably watch this. But so worked at Attention, which was focused on social issues and kind of doing promoting content with a positive spin. So took over their scripted department, was head of scripted over there. Did a bunch of great stuff over there, kind of in the comedy space where we take social issues and do sketches and skits around it. Got to star in a lot of stuff. That was never really kind of my thing. I didn't really want to be an actor or anything like that. But hey, you know, we didn't have the biggest budgets. Hey, we need to fill some actors in there. I remember we would work with a lot of like influencers and celebrities, people like Juan Pazarita and Zoe Saldana and all types of people. Sophia Bush would do a lot of videos for them too. So they would get these big name people to come in and do stuff that they were interested in, whether that was the environment or, you know, gun control or whatever, I mean, racist, whatever it was. And we'd figure out ways. And my thing is always like, if you can use comedy in a way to get people to watch and react to things, even what I do now with memes, it's more satirical in nature, right? But
absolutely,
I can get the message across better than me just standing on a high horse saying, don't do this. Like, nobody's going to listen to that.
Exactly.
But if I'm like, all right, you know, this is how the pharmaceutical industry's fucking us, and we do a cool sketch on it, or Cinco de Mayo, you guys are celebrating this holiday, you have no idea what it is, and we do a great sketch on it, that thing does. We were putting a lot of that content on Facebook and YouTube. It was doing 40, 50, 60 million views. You know, I would go places and people were like, oh, were you in that Cinco de Mayo sketch? I'm like, yeah, for sure.
I think I remember that Cinco de Mayo sketch, actually.
No.
Like,
shout out to Dave Fonseca and Bennett Moore, who were my crew there, and also Lance Williams, who directed it. But small crew, but we grinded. Like, we would fucking, like, you know, I remember Dave and Wampa got together and kind of put the creative, and we put the sketch together. It's like, oh, this is going to be phenomenal.
That sounds like you're, like, inserting your passion back into your work then.
It actually got me loving creating again.
Yeah.
Because after... I mean, my wife has this video. I mean, I was probably at my lowest point, probably 360, 370, miserable. But I'm on the couch like, motherfuckers are going to pay for this shit one day. Like, mark my words. Like, you know what I mean? This ain't the last you heard of me. And she randomly just had that out and she would show it to me periodically. We just watched it again recently. I'm like, damn, that was a tough time. But I was just on the computer grinding. I just looked up like, yo, you know, like, I'm not done. Like, I still have a ways to go.
I was just going to say, like, do you still have like a chip on your shoulder for certain people or certain situations?
Yeah,
yeah, because I always run into people that are like, I remember that one person that like totally fucked me over or said no or was rude to me, and like I will never forget that person. And if you come to me back, like you full circle me, I'm gonna just.
So here's the thing that I've learned now, and part of my growth and being older and more mature is like, I remember all that shit. And now it's like, I used to be real petty, so my thing would be like, fuck you guys, I never want to work with you again. Now it's like, I'll work with you again, but the price has gone up significantly. Okay. So pay my price, and you're gonna get. You see a lot of celebrities. It's funny, and it's not necessarily celebrities because they're generally cool people, but they have a nice team around them of agents, whoever, who can be difficult. I still do a lot of my own shit. Like, you reach out to me, you're not going through a publicist or whoever. I'm like, look, I got like people that I rock with, I'll go direct with. People that annoy me, circumvent, or I just won't fuck with them. Like, it's not a big deal. But I do a lot of my own shit still. But you learn because of all the situations that happen early on where people take advantage or disrespect or whatever, that you have to kind of put that wall up and be somewhat of an asshole. Yeah. Like, we look at Kanye nowadays, and what Kanye's become is kind of mad scientist tough. But if you go back and look at the old days of walking into Def Jam and nobody gave a fuck about these Grammy award-winning songs that he was playing for him because they couldn't see the vision. I think a lot of people, that's what I took from that doc. And I think a lot of people can. A lot of people aren't going to see your vision. I even tell people sometimes when they send me stuff like, look, this may not be right for me, but go find the person who can go make it right for you, and then come back and tell me fuck you. I'll be more than happy to take that fuck you from you. Like, I would deserve it. And I'll smile because, yo, you went and made it happen. But a lot of people, and so often in this industry, one or two people will tell you they don't like your idea, and then you'll give up or you'll quit. And I'm just like, I'm not that type of person.
So then how do you find the person that is going to see your vision?
You annoy the fuck out of people. Okay. Like, I even, you know, bother the shit out of people until they get on board. And I'm in a position now where that's why I gravitated towards social, because it was like, all right, I'm sending all this shit out. I know it's good, and people aren't fucking with it. They're trying to big time me. They're trying to play me to the left. Just stuff that you can see. And I'm like 6'8", 300. So it's like, you don't really want to make me too mad. Like, I'm a nice guy, but if it comes to it, like, I can fucking end your life, like, fairly easily. It's not be a difficult thing, but you just kind of find that ability to deal with all those no's and use that. Now I literally thrive on no's. I love when motherfuckers tell me no.
Do you really?
Because I would shove it back in their face. Like, what? They're gonna see it again. And then those same people. Imagine like somebody telling you no, and then their whole social team has been instructed to tweet like you.
Totally.
Unsuccessfully.
Right.
I'm just laughing. Like, I know the shit you guys can't do. I know what your bosses won't allow you to post. So I'm just gonna post all that shit, and all that shit's gonna hit. And we need to do stuff like that. No, you can't do shit like that. That's literally why I'm doing that. So I can give you the recipe and tell you how to do it. But it's like that Steve Buscemi meme. Like, you know, hey kids, want some drugs? That's how you look doing it. Yeah. Because you're a corporate company that's built off this. You know, you can't be a regular rank and file person on the streets like me. I can live in both those worlds.
Yeah, definitely.
Rather easily and be like a chameleon and move in and out of them with no issue. But
that's so. I think people have such a hard struggle with getting the no's constantly, and then you've heard it a million times, like the yes is right behind all of these no's, but staying the course on that, I think, is so difficult for people. So how do you keep grinding like that? Or how did you?
I mean, trying to stay as positive as possible. Like I said, there was definitely low points where you feel like, damn, I just want to give up. But also, like, I'm not going to give anybody the satisfaction of me quitting. Like, what the fuck? Like, nah. Rather shove it back in their face. I don't know how long it would take. And now I'm seeing it. It's even still to this day, people will try and big time me. And then we'll come back. Like, I've had situations the last year, like a year ago, somebody big time me. A year later, hey, like, you know,
oh my God, great.
We want to do all this shit with you now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're so, yeah, we need to give you this, that, whatever. And I'm just like, I remember all this shit. Okay, prices increased. This is what it is. You want to do it, great. If not, somebody else will pay it.
That Billy Madison scene where he's like crossing off people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I kill them with performing.
Exactly.
Well. Like, I don't need to like fight them. There's no physical violence needed.
No.
When they see a New York Times profile, or they see this, or they see that, or they see me on this show or that show, or they see LeBron call me the GOAT, it's like, that's hard to miss. Like, you can say whatever you want now. Like, LeBron tweeted that on his own. Like, I didn't make him do that.
So how did Colin in Black and White come to be? How did you get involved in this project?
2 words: Michael Starberry.
Okay.
Again, I talk about Starberry a lot, but for me, like, when you talk about just a genuine human being who is the most talented writer in the game, like, I'll say that, and I tell him all the time. I don't even know if he believes it, but you know, it's like, bro,
he's gonna be the prince of writing, staying in Minnesota.
I tell him, like, you're the you of writing. I'm the you of the social shit. Like, the ability, but you know, being around him and seeing the way he can do comedy, drama, everything. But he had told me about this project. We were at my dad's Jersey retirement ceremony. I think this was like he told me before, but March of 2019. He's like, look, man, this thing looks like it's gonna go. Like, I'm working with Ava and Colin on it. Like, you know, Netflix is super excited about it. If it goes, I'm gonna bring you onto the writing team.
That's awesome.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Not like, but
okay,
yeah,
sure.
It's Hollywood, bro. Like, you know, I've never worked with Ava. I know she's, you know, she runs a tight ship. So if she don't know me, she's not gonna be like, I'm just gonna fuck with this dude I don't know. Said, all right, bro, you know, do whatever you can. Like, if it happens, great. If not, no hard feelings. Like, I know you tried and whatever. So fast forward to November of 2019. I'm working on the Christine Leahy show, Fox Sports 1. Get a call on like a Wednesday after work. I'm driving home, literally about to like hit the canyons over Topanga Canyon to drive back in the valley because we did the show in Santa Monica. I live in Woodland Hills. Get a call from Starberry. Show starts Monday. Can you do it? I'm just like, oh shit! Like,
what?
Caught off guard. Like, I'm like.
And what were you doing at Fox Sports with Christine?
I was a supervising producer
okay.
on her show, and you know, it was a great show. Fair Game with
Fair
Christine.
Game, yep.
Yeah. I was about to say First Take like an asshole. Fair Game with Christine Leahy. It was a great show, great experience. Christine was a pleasure to work for. You know, had a super diverse crew, and we were like a tight knit crew. We worked out of basically the small house in Santa Monica. It was like 10 of us, but grinded, got to do some cool stuff. But it wasn't anywhere near from financially or opportunity wise that show. So literally like Wednesday, I'm like, fuck, dog. Like I just started working there probably like 2 months earlier, and it's like I don't want to burn bridges or whatever. I was like, look, let me call my wife real quick and just make sure she's cool with it.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, what? He's basically like, yo, don't even worry about it. Yo, it's no big deal. Just stay on that show. I'm like, bro, don't blame me like that. So literally call my wife. She's like, what the fuck are you calling me for? You better call back and apologize. Call him back like 5 minutes later. True story. Like, no, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Like, I'll be there Monday ready to go. Thank you so much. And fast forward to obviously we just won an NAACP award. Tremendous experience working with Ava. Literally, I mean, Ava's a UCLA Bruin. I'm a UCLA Bruin. I've watched her career and trajectory. Always admired her from afar. But to actually get to see how the sausage is made, get to see how she works. She was working on literally, I think, Queen Sugar at that point, Naomi, which is out on CW at that point, a show called DMZ, which came out on HBO Max, our show, and like through her array film work stuff, she had like, I don't even know, like 10, it seemed like every day they had a new doc or whatever going on, but seamlessly transitioning from all these different spots, running a super tight-knit ship across the board, and just, you know, Ava doesn't fuck around, so be ready. Like, you know, I remember being nervous for a couple of times I met her, but now we're cool as shit. You know, she'll hit me up all the time, send my memes to Oprah and shit, wild stuff like that.
That's amazing.
And actually, she liked the writing so much on Colin in Black and White that she brought me on to work on another show she has on OWN Network called Cherish the Day. Was completely different, but 2 of our EPs on Colin were the showrunners for that show. We had a great rapport, so they brought me on. And that was a tremendous experience as well, working on the drama side. But equally, you know, just like I said, like being around Ava and in her presence. And this was pre-pandemic, so we were still doing the writers' rooms in person at her facility. But I remember walking in the first day, just like I was so scared, like, oh shit, like I'm so nervous, like I'm gonna meet Ava, like I hope I don't embarrass myself. But she couldn't have been nicer. But also, Ava, is a lot of tough love. So if you don't deliver, she'll tell you.
Okay.
And I come from a sports background, coaching background, so I've had coaches call me every name under the sun. So if
You're old school sports too, so like when kids really got it.
Yeah, but if she's like, I don't like this, that, or whatever, it's like, okay, how do we fix that? So you do. And it's not like, oh, it's like, okay, I'm going to take this note from Ava because I'm getting notes from Ava DuVernay. Like, I'm in heaven right now, like, and I'll fix them and do as best as I can. So, but just that experience and working with Colin, Colin came into the writers when we started that show November-ish 2019, and this was right around the time he had that like sham Atlanta workout. So Colin was supposed to come in within like the first, second week for several days, break down his kind of whole life story, whatever. First day he comes in, all right, I got to work out in Atlanta. I got to zip out to Atlanta. But he stayed for the whole day, was gracious with his time. And even then we were just like, yo, I mean, I worked in the NFL. I know they're sticklers and they can do some janky shit at times. And I've been very outspoken about that shit. But whatever, I have a ton of friends over there, a ton of people I respect. But it's like, this thing feels fishy. They're doing it on Saturday. College football games are Saturday. It's like, who's really going to be in attendance? Like, you just questions you could ask right away, even from my limited understanding of what's going on. Turns out they wanted him to sign, like, the waiver so that he couldn't sue for collusion. It was just, but he went out there, overperformed. I remember us all being in the writer's room, like, coming back into work Monday, just like, fucking, we were rolling with this dude. Like, cool as shit. It's crazy to me to see how he was treated. Because I was supporting Colin in 2016. I remember I went to the Comedy Central Emmys party in a Kaepernick jersey. I'm a Raiders fan. But I'm rocking with Cap. Like, I respected what he had going on then, to be able to fast forward years later.
Work with him,
and
full circle.
And just talk to the dude and see, look him in the eyes. I remember the first question I asked him was like, yo, do you really want to play still? And he looked at me like this was the fucking dumbest question you could ever ask anybody. I was like, had to ask him. I just needed to know.
What'd he say?
He said, he just looked, he didn't even
respond.
It was kind of just like you got to be fucking kidding me. I was like, because, yeah, everybody I know says you don't. So I just want to hear from your mouth because apparently everybody's speaking for you. I have you here to ask. And, of course, he wanted to he was working out 6 days a week at that point.
Yeah.
Still grinding. His dream, if you watch the show, his dream was to be a quarterback and everything he dealt with to be able to be a quarterback and to have that taken away from him in questionable circumstances is crazy now. It's crazy for me to know that Colin was basically blackballed from the NFL. Fast forward to the 2022 Super Bowl, you literally have Snoop and Dre performing with people crip walking. Yeah. So they're literally crip walk choreography. And it touched my heart to see it, but I'm also like, damn, the NFL allowed crip walk choreography, but didn't allow somebody to kneel to protest social injustice. Noted. Got it. Okay. I take a lot of notes.
Yeah, I like
mental,
it.
just noted. Got it.
What was the biggest lesson you learned working on that show for you creatively?
For me, it was just, and this was Starberry's first time being a showrunner, so I was there as a resource for him too because we're friends anyway. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like Narcos with I forget what the guy's line, but he's like, a number two's job is just to point out the problem, is not to fix it. And I wasn't the number two on that show, but just working with him was like, all right, think about this, think about that. We need to tweak that. But just being a resource. I remember I came in because I was coming off the Leahy show. We would do research packets. So I paid one of our researchers on the show, like, look, give me everything you got on Colin. I want to come into this shit prepared and really try to organically and authentically tell his story as best as possible, but show him that we care. Like, and Starberry's the same way. He gives anything he jumps into and puts his heart in, he cares. And we had a tremendously talented writer's room, which even from day one, we knew we were all going to rock with each other. And then we go from all being around each other every day to, I remember literally when the pandemic started, it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday. And Starberry, like, we were all kind of off the script doing stuff. He's like, I'm going to have the room meet, but you're doing your shit, so you want to come in, great. If not, you don't have to. So I was like, I'm feeling a little weird about the shit. I got kids. Like, I'm just going to stay home today because I don't know what's going on. Then fast forward, we get the email, like, later that day, like,
it's
shut down. We're going to go to, Zoom, like, for the rest of the room. And it's just like, oh, shit, this is, like, big
Did that change the chemistry?
We were already so far into the project at that point, and everybody already knew each other so well that we were all kind of off writing scripts and doing stuff anyway. So it wasn't the hardest thing, but it was an adjustment.
Yeah.
In creative spaces, like, Zoom works a lot for a lot of different companies and for their efficiency, but for creatives, like, we have to be in a room together. Mm-hmm. A lot of great ideas come just during lunch or during whatever, times when you're not actually physically supposed to be working. We're waiting for notes to come back from Ava or from Colin or from the network. Hey, what if we do this or try that, or what if we try this scene or whatever? And if you notice that show, we called them pops, but they were basically just segments that we infused in the episodes to correlate whatever was going on. Like, I can't tell you, like, Ava was kicking our ass with those things because we were pitching her stuff. She wasn't feeling it. But ultimately just had to get into her mind and get into her level of excellence. And the way those things turned out when I was watching, I remember at the premiere, I'm just telling my wife, like, holy shit, like, Like, this is a good ass show.
Yeah.
I mean, when you work on stuff, you think it's good on paper, and then you see it, and it's like, oh shit. Like,
well, it has to be interesting too, because we're so used to content in the old days was documentaries or stories about people that were from the past and reliving that. And in this circumstance, you have Colin in the room. He's telling your story, and he's like still living it.
Yeah.
Like, that has to be a crazy experience. Did you have to shift your writing structure at all
For
to
sure.
reflect that?
Well, it's Colin, right? So it's his
Yeah.
story. So when you're telling him things, well, he was there. So say it like this. Don't. So I try to get cute in the script sometimes.
Like, no, I wouldn't say that.
I try to do like, I had them like break a huddle, but like, you know, some things, you know, we used to do when I was growing. He's like, no, we didn't do that over here. I'm like, all right, no, change it. Like, this is ultimately, because I understand even from having the show, like, this is your life. This is the story you want to tell. We need to make sure we tell as accurately as possible. And to your point, we're not telling a story about somebody who's no longer here, where we have a lot of more creative license to kind of fill in the holes. We can literally call Colin. Hey, Colin, what happened with this? All right. When they pulled your scholarship, or when this thing that happened, whatever it may be, you know, how did that feel? Where were you at emotionally? All right. Oh, you love Sour Patch Kids. Okay. Oh, you love Taco Bell. Like, all right. And I dig, you know, me always trying to be super just knowledgeable about everything. Would go back and be like, oh, they introduced a chalupa right around, you know, your senior year of high school.
I love that.
But just things like that.
Yeah.
Because I remember, when those things came out, I was at UCLA's campus, like, we were fucking chalupas. Like, oh, what the fuck is this chalupa? Or like the double-decker tacos or any of that type of shit that was going on just randomly. But I always want to infuse myself, like, because I love Sour Patch Kids too. And he's like, yeah, man, everywhere I went, I had some Sour Patch Kids with me. I'm like, oh, shit, like.
Make that a point.
Yeah, we got.
Of course.
So if you watch the show, you'll see like Sour Patch Kids, just random shit for me that's like, all right, this is so true and authentic to who he is and his character. So it was,
and it's so fresh in his mind versus, he's not remembering things from 20 years ago. He's remembering things from 2 years ago and 10 years ago. Really, it's wild.
And it's wild to see too who Colin, had the chip on his shoulder but earned, right? He was the guy who was like a 3-star recruit. Didn't get heavily recruited, literally got his football scholarship off of a basketball game. The Nevada coaches came and saw him play and were like, look, worst case, if it doesn't work out at quarterback, we can make him a safety or DB, which was kind of his other position he played in high school. So just to know, like, no, I'm a fucking quarterback, and this is what I want to be. And again, I talked about the Kanye doc earlier. When you look at Colin, that's something else that people can really draw on their own experience. Like, no, you don't tell me what I get to be. I want to be this, and I'm going to bust my ass to make it happen. And if I deserve it, then I should get it.
And I think that's interesting because specifically in the entertainment industry, everybody always wants to tell you who you are.
Exactly.
And so to be able to not only like work and say, I'm not going to do that, but then have that creative freedom yourself to embark all of that full circle. Oh, let me just smack my mind.
We're here. We're doing it. Okay.
It's live. Is it? No,
this is
not.
live.
It's not. Yeah, I think it's just like such a good lesson in general because I can't tell you a million times how every single person has had personally their own opinion of who I am and what I am. And I'm sure you felt the same way. And it's just, at the end of the day, nobody can really tell you who you are.
Make your biggest haters your biggest fans.
Yeah.
And it sounds cool and cliche or whatever to say, but really do it. And you do that by being successful, right? Mm-hmm. I had people who were haters, right? Didn't rock with me, talk shit about me privately. Shit would get back to me. I lived in LA, so the shit they're talking to people not realizing, oh, me and this dude went to junior high school together. Me and this girl fucking, we're in elementary school together.
Yeah.
And it's coming back to me, oh, such and such said that you were this or you're difficult or you're an asshole or whatever. It's like, you know me. Like, I'm literally the furthest thing from an asshole. Like, do I demand excellence and greatness out of the people I work with? Yes. Do I ask people to do more than I do? No. It's funny when I work on shows like Legends, like I'm doing my job and the social job. Mm-hmm. It's literally like 18 hours of work a day.
Right.
Like anybody who was on that show can tell you, I used to I found this app where I could unfollow and follow people, but I could target on basic subjects they were interested in, whatever. And I could do up to like 10,000 people a day, but I had to do it in 100 increments. So after following 100 people, Twitter would make you wait a minute. They basically lock your account for a minute. So if you can imagine that, that's literally like 3 or 4 hours a day. And I figured out a pattern with my 2 pointer fingers where I could just hit it really quick. And it would make that noise all day on the computer. But whether we were in writer's room or film sessions or whatever, and I was like, look, like I've seen the way social works. Like that's really the only way we're going to make the show hit. Billboards and all that other shit that's going on, commercials, nobody gives a fuck about. Oh, we ran a commercial during Monday Night Football. Nobody gives a fuck. Oh, look at the billboard. Like, cool, I'll post a video there, but I've never gone by a billboard and be like, all right, let me take a photo and remember what time. What I do know is, hey, when I see, Issa Hive trending or whatever, in the organic way communities are built around this shit, or Game of Thrones and the organic community of memes and things that happen through these shows, that's the way you really build a community around it. Mm-hmm. So I did a lot of that type of shit, but it was working, crazy not necessarily getting the return I wanted. I don't really feel like I got the respect I deserved as a result of that. it's funny. A lot of times people see you busting your ass and then they just say, oh, well, shit.
They think it's okay.
You should do that.
Right.
Hey, when it's like, well, what are you guys doing? Watching you bust your ass.
Yeah.
Like, fucking, if it goes, great. If not, hey, we saved our time. But for me, you know, it's just tremendous learning experience. I forgot even what your question was.
I don't know.
I'm on a tangent.
Who knows? I love it.
But I think the advice I would just give to everybody out there is don't ever let somebody typecast you or tell you what you're supposed to be. You know what you're supposed to be, but also do the work. Don't think you're going to shortcut and just get to where you want to be because you want to do it. Hey, I want to be a writer. Congrats. Hey, I wrote a script. Great. Did you sell it? Then shut the fuck up and go write another one and another one and another one and another one till you really learn this process.
Yeah.
Like talking to somebody like Starberry, who's basically my Yoda, like 10, 11 scripts before he got his first hit. Mm-hmm. But also that work, because same with me in social. Like for years, I wasn't getting any hits on social. Like, you know, people would disrespect me, big time me. I had all types of dweebs and nerds like talking shit about me, like, you know, like quote tweeting and like shit talking me. I'm like, you fucking dweeb. Like, I know you're not talking shit. Now those same dweebs and nerds literally steal my tweets.
Of course.
And I have documented evidence of it if you guys really want to go there. But but now those same people steal my shit and they have to be at work now when their boss is like, yo, you need to tweet like Josiah. You that same guy I was talking shit about years ago? Damn it, what happened? So nobody's ever going to give a fuck if you quit.
Was there a moment with your Twitter that you saw a shift?
Yeah.
What was it?
What year was this? This is 2019, honestly, before I worked on Colin. I think it's right around the time Antonio Brown had that deal where he was literally on the Raiders, the Patriots, whatever.
Okay.
Multiple days, and we can, I know we can fact check or whatever. My dates may be a little off. I smoke a lot of recreational marijuana, so
we're in California. It's legal.
Pretty sure 2019. Dropped the Get Out meme.
Yes.
So basically signified
with Tom Brady.
No, he went to. So I did. Yeah, that one. That was the second one. So I did the first one was he signed with the Patriots. Josh Gordon was already there, so I basically had him meeting Josh Gordon. And like Josh Gordon's in the sunken place, basically the Patriots way, whatever. But I was working at attention at that point, and I would edit these things on my computer because they were quick as shit to edit. I could do it in like under 5-10 minutes. Edit them on computer. I would drop them, and then I would literally go sit in the bathroom and watch the numbers go up. So I'm sure people at work thought I had bowel problems or whatever because I would literally just be sitting in the stall refreshing for like a good 10-15 minutes. Giggling as like the numbers would just, and these things were doing like 20,000-30,000 retweets. So you know when you drop a viral banger, like I'm addicted to social. So when I drop a viral banger, you can just see right away, oh shit, it's got like 1,000 retweets in the first like 2 or 3 minutes. Like this thing is gonna hit.
It's gonna go.
It's gonna go. Jordan Peele actually saw it, quote tweeted, said, "You win, Josiah." I said, well, fuck.
Hell yeah.
Ended up following me. I sent him a DM, just thanked him for opening and blazing the trail for people like myself. He had obviously had Key and Peele at Comedy Central, which had won an Emmy and performed well. Mm-hmm. You know, he just, you know.
Are you guys ever going to collab?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I slid in his DMs. He responded. So I'm like, oh, shit. You know, I'm the type of person that asks people for shit, but just like, yo, I just want to thank you so much for, you know, doing what you did to open up the trail for somebody like me to be able to do and follow in your footsteps. But at that moment, I was like, damn, I might have a future on this social side. And it's funny, even now I see a lot of accounts go to that style now in terms of what they do. But I would always do stuff that was a little out of pocket and a little more risque that I knew that they couldn't get away with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but now they're trying to go there, which is hilarious to me because it's like, it's not a good fit. And I know you have talented people in your ranks that I'm actually friends with, but the corporate image of your company is not one that, you're not Black Twitter. Like literally the people in your company are all like Trump lovers, like at the highest level that now tell you to talk black.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of funny too with, I mean, my background is initially in the sports side of like the actual team itself. And I didn't like that as an 18-year-old because I felt like it was the least creative place in the entire world. Well, you have this ultimate entertainment section and it does not translate to social media. And now they're trying, but how do you get through all of that? And like, no, just respond and interact with the funny accounts that are already killing it. Like that's a great response area.
I got a lot of respect for team accounts though. There's a lot of great team accounts out there
that
are doing great. But now because those companies have kind of eased off. Yeah. I know at the highest level convincing those
this
people.
This was like 10, 15 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. But 10, 15 years ago, hey, I want to do a funny meme of this, that, or we can't do that.
Yeah.
No, absolutely fucking not. We're not doing to now, oh wait, well fuck, the Chiefs just did it and the Chargers just did it. Oh shit.
And they're playing and they're having fun.
The Mavs just, okay, well shit. Like, okay, well we can do it now. Like, all right. Look, you know, now everybody wants to gravitate into that world, but they burn themselves a lot because they do shit that's, you know, again, not in the voice or tone of what their company is. But I respect all those people. I respect social. It's a world 10, 15 years ago where it was literally uncharted waters. Now you have people that literally like get degrees and like in social media, I'm always just like, well, who's your professor? Like,
That's
who
so
do they
true.
work for? It's kind of like, people who take screenwriting classes, like take those classes, but how many scripts has your professor sold?
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, take that class, but know that, well, this motherfucker ain't sold no scripts, then yeah, but I don't need it, whatever they say. They may not like my writing. Fuck them.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think about Jordan Peele. He had Get Out for like 10 years and didn't get to make it until he got famous enough for somebody to take it. Now he can do whatever the fuck he wants. So I think that, again, is a message to everybody. Like, you might have something that you think is gold and people are shitting on it left and right. Those same people will be kissing your ass, begging you for it once the market dictates that. So don't ever take that shit personal. Just take notes. Remember it. Because those same people will kiss your ass. Don't forget when they were, doing you dirty, and proceed accordingly from there.
What's the perfect, next year look like for you career-wise?
$1 billion would be
Okay,
nice.
great.
No. For me, I just like go with the flow now. So I'm doing a lot of great shit. Working with a lot of super talented people, doing a show with Gilbert Arenas, which I would have never in a million years imagined I would get to be able to sit with him and just, talk to him. He's a genius. Doing some stuff with Wave Sports, hosting a show over there, doing a ton of stuff with NBA Twitter, doing stuff with Turner, doing stuff with Bleacher Report, Whistles. I mean, it's just like, for me.
So this is a good combo.
It's all great, but I also feel like I'm overextending and oversaturating myself, and I'm very cognizant of that. So for me, I want to just kind of hunker down and lock into one or two things, and these are my staples.
Because you have to have a life, too. You have a wife and kids. Like,
exactly.
You gotta...
I look at somebody like Pat McAfee, and I don't know if I can get to that level, because Pat literally is probably the hardest working dude I think I've ever seen. He's on like Carson Daly level, for those who remember back in the day when Carson Daly was doing like 30 different things and fucking dominating. But somebody like Pat, I would love to have something like that. I think, like Daily Show, like targeted to what I'm interested in, but free flowing, getting to do exactly what I want to do it. I mean, I got to meet Pat when he was out here Super Bowl week and his crew, and literally like just a tremendous group of human beings, right? Everybody knows their position. Everybody busts their ass and works hard. All love each other. And literally, like, you'll watch the show. I remember I was watching the show. Literally, the day I met him, watching the show, and they were talking about how they were going to, like, scoot to the Hollywood sign. Literally, go stop by the spot they're staying at. There's literally 10 scooters lined up.
Do they really?
And, and that's what they were. And it's like, but, like, damn, you guys are just fucking regular, cool-ass dudes.
Yeah.
Just hanging out, like, enjoying each other and fucking working
and
hard.
And that translates, too.
And you see it when you watch the show. Like, these people like each other. They want to be. So now, being almost 40 years old, the world I'm in, I want to work with people I like. That's all I give a fuck about. I have no tolerance or patience for assholes or people who are mean-spirited or whatever. Like, I've seen a lot of those people. And, you have tough days or whatever, and those are fine. But ultimately, people that you rock with, respect, that can be open with you, can be like, Josiah, this shit sucks, don't post it. And I've built up a tight crew of people where I can send shit to that I trust. Like, yo, should I post this?
Who's in your crew?
I can't,
You
then
can't
they're
name
gonna
names?
if I give names, then they'll end up they'll be in other people's crews. But just people I can send shit to and be like, yo, you rocking with, don't fucking post that. Oh, this is a hitter, post it. This might be too much. Like, I'm like, no, post that shit. All right, post it. Oh, it is. Like, my wife is my main fucking, she's the main, like, she gets everything first. Like, yeah, what do you think about this? Not your best. Like, or, hey, drop that shit. It made me laugh. Like, so, but I have a willingness to now listen to people and collaborate and create, where I used to be kind of super, not difficult, but like, I thought that only my way was the right way to go. And now I'm more open to, other people's opinions, thoughts. As long as, like, if we do something, you tell me, yo, that sucks. Don't tell me it sucks. Tell me why it sucks.
Yeah.
Because X, Y, or Z. Okay. Then we can change that. I think too often in life, people, especially at the exec level, they get kind of snooty and they try and give you this arrogance. But like, I like to explain to people that are coming up, like, that exec sits in a fucking office all day. You're on the streets. You go to parties. You go see what people are talking about. You see the music they're listening to. I'm old. I'm not doing that shit anymore. I remember in my youth, like, we would go to the bar, we'd go to the club or whatever, what songs they were playing, what people were interacting with, what were they talking about, what were they wearing. Execs don't know that fucking life. No. Their whole thing is meetings and fucking, going for drinks with this person or whatever and discussing what they think that world is. They have no fucking clue or concept of it. You know it. So you know the authenticity of it. Write that shit.
Right.
And if they bullshit, then go make the shit yourself. And that may seem like a daunting task that's impossible. It's not. Like, it may not be the perfect best thing. You're not going to get fucking Steven Spielberg to direct the shit. But learn. You're going to do one. Okay. Make the second one better. Make the third one better. Look at Issa Rae. Right?
Yeah.
If you need any inspiration for any, go back and watch her original shit.
Seriously.
Was it perfect? No.
No.
It wasn't. But you could see the heart and soul of it. You could see, if I surround her with more equipment, audio, lighting, whatever, she'll give me a fucking
And she
show.
stood her ground to not only, like, this is my project, but I'm going to direct it. I'm going to be involved in so many different layers where some people you could just be like, yeah, great, I want my show made. I'll take the actress
Yeah.
check and see you later. Like, no, I want production here.
And this is the thing. I try to be a resource for a lot of people because when these questions come up, it's like, look, I can't tell you what to do, but I can give you advice on what I would do or how I would approach it. But again, this is your shit. All I can tell you is, all right, well, they said they want to do this, that, whatever. No, this is the rate. Or hey, how much should I charge this person to do this? This is what I would charge. Do it if you want. If not, but you can't be scared. You can't. They smell that fucking weakness on you. They're not going to do that shit. And now when I do shit like this is a price, pay it or don't. Mm-hmm. And while you're fucking waiting, I already signed over here because they're going to pay more than what I fucking told you. So, it doesn't always work, but more times than not it does.
Standing your ground.
Yeah, you got to stand your ground. Believe in yourself. Do you really believe that you can direct this thing or produce it or write it or whatever? Yeah, then fuck them because they're going to bring somebody in who has no idea of your vision and is going to tell you what to do. And then that shit's going to end up being fucked and not being good. Mm-hmm. And they're going to point the finger at you. Like, you think the people that fuck your shit up are ever going to be like, damn, I fucked your shit up? No, they're going to be like,
yeah,
it was her fault.
Point the finger. If you have the come up advice for everyone listening, everyone watching, what would be your advice for the come up?
To come up, don't be afraid of failure. Embrace it. Really thrive off that shit. Like, there's always going to be people that'll bring you down, that want you to quit, that'll give you their opinion. They might be in a higher regard or higher stance at you at that point, and they'll try and tell you, fuck them. Like, keep building. Like, don't let that shit get you down. Again, pitch as many people as possible. Like, take your ideas. If you have a good idea, you have something that you believe deserves to be made or whatever it is, or you think you should be doing with X, Y, or Z, go do the shit. Start small. You're not going to get to the top right away. Build up incrementally. Everybody looks at the shit I do on social now. Oh, you're the king of this, you're the king of that. I don't fucking think I'm the king of shit. I just keep working. Like, I'm not, no. Like, I know, I'll let y'all know when I believe that I'm the king of something. I hate that. No, you know what I mean? I don't hate it, but it's like, that's nice when people say it. I appreciate it. Mm-hmm. All right, well, let the bags reflect that then. If you think I'm the king of whatever, then give me a king bag, right? Like, give me the king's ransom kind of deal. Yeah. But for people that are coming up, identify where you want to get to, see the people who are in those lanes, and reach out to those people for advice. But don't just come wanting shit. Try and offer some shit in advance or in return. Excuse me. When people come to me like, oh, X, like, look, don't ask me questions you can fucking Google. That's gonna really piss me off. Yeah. If you're like, okay, I'm a writer now and I've just like sold my first script or whatever, I can talk to you now because you're doing shit where you actually need my advice. Mm-hmm. Now, like, hey, how do I break into the industry?
That's not a question.
100 books, 100 videos. You can watch all that shit. I can't give you any more better advice than whatever. I can tell you my experience, and that's not going to be yours, but you can learn from it. But yeah, just keep grinding. Like, it's not going to be an overnight thing. Even when I had the show Legends, everybody like, oh, your overnight success. Like, motherfucker, I was 7 years. Like, literally almost 2 Olympics.
Yeah.
Till I got the show, man. Literally, what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's not quick.
So I'm gonna push you a little bit further on this. For people like myself, I have realized that, like, I'm more of a perfectionist than I thought that I was. So for people like me, how do you embrace that failure?
I think a Zuckerberg quote, if I'm not mistaken, he's like, done is better than perfect.
Okay.
I used to be a perfectionist as well, to the point where I wouldn't release shit because I'm like, oh, it's not perfect. Done is better than perfect. Because once I release things, I will learn from this thing. There's shit that I put out that I was like, oh, this shit is terrible. It's not going to perform. Has gotten me the most numbers of anything I've ever done. Other shit like, oh, this is a fucking banger. Like, oh, it's going to hit. Crickets. Like, yeah. So it also taught me, like, all right, take a step back. But you do that enough and you learn the stuff that's going to be good and the stuff that's not going to be good. But do what's authentic to you. Do what you believe in. But also don't be afraid to put yourself out there. We live in an environment now, especially in social, where you have a lot of miserable people, and those miserable people will create accounts where they're afraid to put their name and face on it so they can give you all their opinions, how much they hate you and tell you how much you suck. And it's like, motherfucker, you're too much of even a coward to even say this with your chest. Like, I'm not fazed by you. You know who likes me? LeBron. So,
have you hung out with LeBron?
I met him one time walking. I was scared as shit to meet him. My little brother Josh and my dad saved the day because he was like, I went to the Lakers Bucks game back in November. But he obviously knows
who you are.
Yeah, but it's weird when you do that. Hey, I'm Josiah from Twitter, and like, motherfucker's LeBron James. But my dad rolled up on him. He knows my dad. My dad rolled up on him. And then we dapped up, and we've been cool since that point. But just, you're going to have tons of people that hate you in life and don't want you to succeed. Fuck them. They're not going to pay your bills anyway. Like, those people don't give a fuck about you. You're going to let them triumph. You're going to let some fucking dweeb with a burner account who would piss down his leg if he saw you in person. Yeah. I know you deal with this as a woman in this game too. Like, the negativity and all that fucking terrible energy. I just try to stay positive. In earlier points in my life, I probably had a lot of negativity, a lot of pettiness. Just try to stay as positive as possible because that shit is not going to get me anywhere. Anything that's going to drag you down, it's going to bring your energy down. But when I'm positive, when I'm respectful, when I'm just happy to be where I'm at, then I get to meet LeBron, or I get to work with Ava DuVernay, or get to have John Legend telling people they should, like John fucking Legend telling people that they should follow me. Like, shitting me? Like, seriously, these things happen, but I don't ever now drink that Kool-Aid. It's like, okay, damn. If John Legend did it, Obama can do it too. Let me fucking keep grinding until I get that. Well, shit, if Obama can do it, Oprah can do it. Let me keep grinding, like whatever. Beyond whatever your goals are, just make bigger goals. Like once you hit your dreams, make better dreams. Like don't ever feel like you can pat yourself on the back and just be, all right, I'm done. Some people can do that, and that's fine. More power to you. Me personally, like I'm just gonna keep working because like I don't know, I'm gonna take this thing as far as it can go. Like I literally get paid money to tweet. Like what the like this is real life. Like it's not even a job for me. Like I literally like did a campaign for DirecTV for the Super Bowl. I was gonna fucking tweet during the Super Bowl anyway.
Right.
And you're gonna give me money to do this shit?
Hell yeah.
Heaven. Like so whatever your job is or whatever you're trying to do, start small, build that shit up, keep working, rinse, wash, repeat until you get to where you want to get to. And eventually you'll start noticing some things and things will start improving and people will start reaching out and opportunities will start coming. So take them and keep grinding and keep building. But also be a good person. Don't be an asshole. Be easy to work with.
Don't be petty.
Don't be petty. Network, but bring something to the table. Like my friends love me because like, oh, you come to me with something, I'll do some shit for free for you because I know you'll do some shit for free for me. But I also know when I got a bag, I'm gonna break bread, and I know when you got a bag, you're gonna break bread with me. So live in that type of space. Like some of the best crews out there. I look at a lot of these young crews out here on the social side, and they all just grind and work hard. I think of like Supreme Dreams and RDC World is one that comes to mind. And guys genuinely love each other. Like they work hard, make great shit. And I've talked to Mark here and there. You know, he's had some stuff sometimes that didn't go. And I'm just like, dog, you literally don't understand that you are going to be running this game in the next 5 to 10 years. So keep working, man. Like just keep making your shit. Don't let anybody come in and try to change what you guys have, which they're going to try to do. And to his credit, keeps that crew, like their tips. I mean, honestly, like I fanboy over them and they're fucking significantly younger than me. But I just love people like you guys were at home, you had an idea, you made that shit. And that shit performed. People like Drewski, you literally at the club just hanging out, you had an idea for a video. And worked while you were at the club hanging out. Got a 10 million view video out of the shit. Work. Like, there's no excuse. You're seeing these people now. You have all the resources at your disposal. You do. Work and make it happen.
Absolutely. Josiah Johnson, thank you for coming on the Come Up.
Appreciate it. And come up.
Come up.
So I got one question for you.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Producer LJ
now,
here.
So
I
you
love
were
it.
talking about all the things of like all the people like you retweeted like John Legend, like that's dope, LeBron. Who was your favorite person that like hated what you said?
Ooh.
Did you ever like get it where you're like, someone retweeted you and say, I hate this. And you're like, got him.
Let me think. I mean, I did have this dweeb dude. I'm not going to say his name, but he was working at it's funny. He was working at like a network in New York. I'll say that. And I was doing like voiceover videos and he literally like, and my thing was always like, I don't ever try to go out. Like you might make something that is a piece of shit, right? I'm never going to quote you, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. Like,
Right.
I just have respect for artists and creatives enough. Like, yo, anybody who puts their time and energy into something may not be perfect. Let's see how we can improve it. But guy went out of his way to kind of shit on me. And I don't normally clap back at people, but I clap back at him. And then I was just like, oh, you know what? I'm a get a bigger following than the account you run.
Because you're a witty enough guy where like the feud's got to be somewhat fun.
I mean, a lot of people thrive off that shit.
You're not petty like that though.
I just try not to be because I'm not good at clapbacks. Like I'm fucking. That's
Got
the one.
it.
Like I'm great. Like a day later, like oh I should have said this. Like
Gotcha.
in the heat of the moment, like I fucking freeze and like I don't have a fucking mean thing to say right now. But a day later, I can be like oh I could have fucking killed him on this, that, or whatever. But and that's just not. But there's a lot of people that are great at that. But I'm trying to think like I mean, it has to be somebody.
Wasn't like a politician.
Like a Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a Trumper or somebody like that, definitely.
Or like, Donald Jr. I feel like that would feel nice.
This is literally the result I was going for, shithead. Like, yeah, but off the top of my head, I can't think of one of them, but definitely somebody in that space.
Dope.
Cool.
This is great.
This is great.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah.